the Blue G91S. I really like this green color. The build of the phone is very tall. It's a very tall phone. It has a triple camera setup. I'll talk about that at the end. It has a headphone jack. It has a headphone jack because I feel like the speaker is really bad. No water resistance on this phone. There's really no special features that stand out about this phone. It's just a basic budget type phone, and there's nothing wrong with that. But I really do like the overall design of this phone. I really like this color especially. It looks oddly familiar to a iPhone 11 Pro, but yeah, USB-C charging port. I just can't get over how nice this phone feels. Like, it's very tall, but this matte feeling on the back is very nice. It doesn't feel budget or cheap at all, really. And it doesn't look budget or cheap at all when you look at it like this. So, build is very nice. There is a bit of a chin here, but that's to be expected at this price point. So performance overall is pretty okay. It's running stock Android, meaning that there shouldn't be anything holding it back. Everything should be sort of smooth, and for the most part it does. There's really no major lags. Swipes and animations are animating correctly. They feel good. There's really no chopping or anything. This phone is really meant for, people that do very mundane, basic tasks. Like, for example, someone that doesn't use their phone as much. It's really good for video watching, messages, calling, email, social media use. That's about it. It's not really meant for multitasking or heavy gaming or, editing photos and videos. It's like, you can, obviously when you try to do that, you can tell that, that's a big load on the phone, on the processor. The phone does tend to kind of jag up when you do give it these heavy tasks, but like I said, at this price point I wouldn't expect too much else. It's really just a basic phone that you use, now or here or there. And speaking of use as well, you can use this phone, it seems like, for as long as you need to, because the battery is just so freaking good. It has a size of 6,000 milliamp hours, and that's pretty large. Most phones have a size of about 4,000. So, this is really, really impressive here. Yeah, I just have to charge it once to 100%, and it'll last me like a good 2 days, really. So, yeah, there's that. Battery life is really good. And now I'll go over some pros and cons about this phone. The pros is that the look of it is really nice. I really like the look. It's lightweight. It doesn't feel cheap. It has a lot of customization. You can really customize anything you want because it is Android after all. But even just the basic phone settings, it's very customizable. There's the headphone jack, which is nice. And overall, it's a functional, nice, lightweight, not compact, but functional, lightweight, easy to use phone. And that's all you could ask for, really. Now the cons being that it does have a slower processor. So sometimes you will get some random lags and freezing. There's no water resistance. So you really shouldn't, go near water with this phone. There's no wireless charging, but then again, I didn't expect that at this price. The phone has bad speakers. They're not like super bad. You could hear, whatever you need to hear, but maybe I'm just spoiled because I have some good speakers, but the speakers are not the best. The display doesn't really get too bright, especially on camera. It looks pretty dark right now, but this is the max brightness. But I'm sure in really sunny conditions, this display will be hard to see. So the display could be brighter, but if you're using this indoors, then it's fine. It's bright enough. Just don't go outside in direct sunlight and try to watch movies or something because it'll be a hard time. It has a triple camera setup. So there's a super wide angle, there's just a regular wide angle, and there's a sort of telephoto lens. Camera quality, I say, is probably the worst thing about this phone. Now, does it work? Yes. Does it have like really bad pictures? No. It's all, it's all how you look at it, really. You might look at these pictures and be like, wow, this camera is not that bad. But for someone who uses a actual, proper DSLR camera, then these pictures look, sort of weak compared to an actual camera, which they obviously will. But I'll have some pictures on the screen. And also with the 3 lenses. So when you switch between lenses, it's not instantaneous. You have to give it a second or two to switch focal lengths. You'll see like the screen takes a good second, and that could be kind of an issue if you're trying to get a shot and then say you're trying to use a telephoto lens and you missed the shot because it was loading. That could be an issue. If something important does go down, like, it's gonna work 100% of the time. So, and that's all you really could ask for, right? So the camera is okay. So my overall thoughts, like you've heard by now, it's a budget phone. The build on the phone is great. The fingerprint reader works very fast, like maybe even a little too fast. The performance is, for the most part, good. The battery life is amazing. And I'd say all this is really good for someone who doesn't really use their phone that much. Someone who just needs to use basic functions and basic apps, such as social media, such as, watching YouTube or movies or certain things like that. And someone who especially is not using their phone 5-6 hours a day. So this phone is definitely not meant for a person who is a heavy user, someone who needs to rely on the power of their phone, a lower end processor, in the phone. So it can only do so much. So it's obviously going to hold you back if you really need this for certain heavy usage things. But all in all, for $159, if you just need a bare bones basic phone, then this is a good option.